说中文。
Chinese pot, Chinese pot, Chinese pot. That's the way to learn Chinese. Chinese pot, Chinese pot, Chinese pot. That's the way to learn Chinese.
Hello and welcome once again to Chinese Pod. We bring you lessons in spoken Mandarin. We come all the way from Shanghai, China. My name is Ken Carroll.
Hi, I'm Jenny.
And we're talking about meat today. Don't be offended if you are a vegetarian. You still need to know this vocabulary.
In order to avoid it.
Indeed. Now, would you give us I'm tempted to say, a juicy insight into today's lesson?
Oh, yes, I will.
Yes, go ahead.
肉
Ro. Sorry. Sorry, that would be... Yeah. Ro.
肉
Okay, good. And what precisely does ro mean?
It's a juicy piece of meat.
Okay, it means meat.
meat.
It means meat.
Yes.
And actually kind of means flesh too, doesn't it? Flesh or meat.
Yep.
Quite often when you use the word raw in Chinese, it refers to pork. But as you'll see in this lesson, you can use it to construct different types of meat. So with that, there's enough said. Well, let's sit back and listen to this dialogue 3 times.
Dialogue first time.
这是什么肉？
猪肉、
那这是什么肉？
牛肉，
真的吗？
真的。
Second time.
这是什么肉？
猪肉、
那这是什么肉？
牛肉，
真的吗？
真的。
Third time.
这是什么肉？
猪肉、
那这是什么肉？
牛肉，
真的吗？
真的。
Okay, wow.
Translation.
How did you know?
这是什么肉？
What meat is this?
这是什么肉？
What kind of meat is this?
这是什么肉？猪肉，
Pork.
猪肉，
Pork.
猪肉。那这是什么肉？
And what kind of meat is this?
那这是什么肉？
Well, what kind of meat is this?
那这是什么肉？牛肉，
Beef.
牛肉，
Beef.
牛肉。真的吗？
Really?
真的吗？
Really?
真的吗？真的，
Yes.
真的，
Yes.
真的。
If we had been cynical at the end of this dialogue, we could have said, nah, I'm just kidding. It's actually a mixture of scorpion and sort of
Yes.
snake or something. I've had that happen to me. I've had...
Were you set up?
Yeah, set up and I was told we're having chicken or fish and it was actually snake.
Oh.
And I had consumed a reasonable amount of it before I was told.
Yes, the same thing happened to me once. And you couldn't tell. And then the
couldn't tell.
skin gave it
Yeah.
away and I
Yeah.
just freaked out.
Yeah, another time somebody tried it with frog and dog, but both times I spotted it. Don't know
But I
how.
had to say snake meat tastes rather, normal.
It kind of does, yeah.
Yeah, it's like very tender chicken. Anyway, let's go
Let's
back.
get back to the lesson, shall we? Well, the first question here is, now you could extrapolate just from that short conversation. It doesn't mean everyone in China is going to try to fool you into eating this stuff. I've been here for years. It happened a couple of times and with people who I kind of should have known better. Anyway, don't worry about it. If you tell your Chinese friends you don't eat that, they obviously, they generally won't do it. But you do want to know. You may be a meat eater, but you might be limited to certain types. So here's the question that you need to ask.
这是什么肉？这是什么肉？
Now, remember we said that raw means meat.
Yes.
So, and 这是 meaning this is. And to ask the question, you say it like, this is what meat. So the way we said what was...
什么？什么？
Great. Now let's take it from the back. So you have the word for meat, which is...
肉。
And then the word to wait to say what meat, you say.
什么什么肉？
Good. And then the whole sentence is, this is what kind of meat, you say.
这是什么肉？这是什么肉？
Okay. Now, again, just one other little cultural tip. When you're with Chinese friends, by all means, you know, if you feel strongly about something, you don't have to eat it. But show enthusiasm because they'll keep ordering. It's kind of impolite. Don't say, for example, oh, I never eat that or I never eat that, particularly if it's on the table. It'll be a bit embarrassing. Just say, oh, there's so many good things. I think I'll have this stuff and this stuff. That's just a little tip. You don't want them to lose face because they will as well, Chinese friends. They'll go out of their way to try to order exotic things sometimes. Anyway, now in this case, it's pork, and that was...
猪肉，猪肉。
猪肉. Now, the tones here are...
First and fourth， 猪肉。
Now, Chinese here works like all rational languages. In other words, the pork is the essential translation means pig meat.
Yes.
As in, ro means meat.
and
猪, first tone means pig.
Yes.
Most languages work this way, but for some reason English, for one reason is that English is just mixed up at all of these words. I mean, pork is French. A lot of food words come from French and English, actually. So, because, well, we all know why. The cuisine is slightly better over there. Anyway, now, so we had, one more time, pork, please.
猪肉，猪肉。
There you go.
Greetings, everyone, and welcome to Chinese Pod Trivia. Our first question is, how long will it take you to become an intermediate Chinese speaker using the Chinese Pod app? Is it A, the rest of your life? B, you should already be an intermediate speaker? C, 3 months? Or D, Chinese Pod has an app?
You should already be in.
Ooh, that is incorrect. The correct answer is C, 3 months. That's right. Head over to ChinesePod.com now to register for your access to over 4,000 lessons. Get the Chinese Pod app now on Google Play or the App Store.
Okay, so if that one is pork, so the question then becomes, well, then what meat is this one?
那这是什么肉？那这是什么肉？
Now, this is essentially the same sentence
Yes.
repeated, but the
With
na
one little word
at
in
the
the
beginning,
front.
and that indicates, well, in that case, or therefore, so, and so on. So clearly, in context, somebody's pointing to the dishes and saying, "What meat is that?" Oh, okay, nah. If that's the case, what's this one? And this turns out to be
牛肉，牛肉。
niao rou. As we said, rou means
Meat, flesh.
and niao meaning
Cow or bull or
cattle.
cattle.
There you
Yeah.
go.
All of those.
Anything bovine. There you go. So niao rou. The tones there are
Second and fourth.
second and fourth. Now, from a tone perspective, that's interesting because I always find the second tone tricky. Could we hear it?
牛，牛，
Niao. And when you put it together with the fourth, you get
牛肉，牛肉。
well said. Now, niao rou.
I'm sure you've mastered this.
Oh,
at
I've
least.
mastered 牛肉。
牛肉。
Now, you want to be sure, of course, so you say.
真的吗？真的吗？
Chendama, that's your way to say really. Are you sure?
Yes.
Is it true? Is it absolutely true? Now, the tones there are
First and two neutrals.
first and two neutrals.
Very big guiding.
Indeed. So, how do first and two neutrals sound again?
真的吗？真的吗？
Chendama. Okay.
So it sounds effortless.
Not to me, it doesn't. That's easy for you to say. Chendama. Okay. So, you're just checking. Now, don't say that if it's a formal kind of thing and people are telling you. It will sound like you don't believe them. But with your pals or something like that, you say, now you have me on here. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
And of course they'll say.
真的，真的。
Now, there is I don't, Chinese people are not at all cynical. You don't get cynicism like you do in the West. So if you ask them Jenda and they say Jenda, they'll either smirk and totally give the game away.
Yeah.
Or they'll mean
They'll
it.
just be deadpan honest.
Yeah. So now lots of interesting stuff, I think, culturally and otherwise in that. Let's listen to that 3 more times.
Dialogue first time.
这是什么肉？
猪肉、
那这是什么肉？
牛肉，
真的吗？
真的。
Second time.
这是什么肉？
猪肉、
那这是什么肉？
牛肉，
真的吗？
真的。
Third time.
这是什么肉？
猪肉、
那这是什么肉？
牛肉，
真的吗？
真的。
Okay, so briefly, some of the key words here. So the word for meat is,
肉，肉，
and interesting as you mentioned, Jenny, it also means flesh, right? So it can actually mean muscle as well.
Yes.
Yeah, in terms of human muscle, it's every kind of muscle. And pork was,
猪肉，猪肉，
and beef,
牛肉，牛肉。
and well, you just want to be sure. Sorry.
真的吗？真的吗？
Yeah, gender. Now, so I want to tell you something else, gender. Why don't you go to ChinesePod.com and you can explore it, all sorts of things, and do all sorts of interesting things. And as we've said before, learning happens on many dimensions. So the more ways that you see and hear, the more context in which you interact with the input, the more learning that goes on. That's how it sticks. Okay.
So learning is like a piece of meat. It's multi-layered. Is meat
Let me
multi-layered?
think about that one
think
for a
so.
while. In the meantime, we'll be back again with another lesson tomorrow. But right now, it's time for us to say
再见。
As usual, ChinesePod provides an extensive selection of learning materials for this lesson on its website, www.chinesepod.com. You can access this lesson directly with the lesson number
0592
So just go to www.chinesepod.com/0592 and you will find a transcript, vocabulary, and much more. The link again, www.chinesepod.com/0592